Flix with the Hicks, where we tell you about the movies. We tell you if they're great or if they really stink. Now it's time to start the show. Yeah, now it's time to go. Guess what? It's Flix with the Hicks.
Hi folks, it's time for another episode of Flix with the Hicks. I'm Greg, this is my lovely wife Janet, and each week we review 2 films that we watched this last week on DVD. So usually they're older films, of course. We always pick the worst movie and the best movie that we watched each week to review. And this week, Janet got to pick the worst movie. So, Janet, would you like to disclose what your movie is?
Ta-da! Marigold! Ta-da! It's also known as an adventure in India, but it's released in 2007, and I mean, it's a movie that's supposed to cross into the American screen. It's from India. They kind of wanted to do a crossover type piece, which like a Bollywood type movie, okay? William Carroll saw like 150 movies, Bollywood type movies, and he wanted to have something to cross over to the Americans. I mean, Bollywood movies are entertaining, but when you're putting an American actress into it and trying to combine the two, it just didn't work.
It didn't seem to gel.
Yeah, it didn't gel. The actress's name was Ali Larder, and she's gorgeous, but in this movie I don't think her performance was all that. But she did train and have some dancing instruction before the movie, but part of the movie it's where she said she knew how to dance and she really didn't know how to dance. Anyway, she's coming across to India to be the star of a movie, and the movie was canceled. And she's such a snob, saying, well, don't you know who I am, and that type of thing. But she's just a B movie actress, but she was acting like she was like hotty-toddy important. Well, out there she wasn't. And she's such a bitch that you know, the directors and everything just left her hanging there. No money, no nothing, and she's stuck in India. Well, one of the employees for the movie felt sorry for her and introduced her to a producer that's doing a Bollywood movie, and maybe they could use her. Well, she lied and said she could dance, and she made a fool of herself in the first scene. But the whole movie, the dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing, and there was a storyline to it. She has a boyfriend named Barry in America, and she said, if this works out, I'm not going to have to marry you. Well, her movie never came to, but that was Ian Bohen, and he was on Teen Wolf and several different shows, Mad Men, stuff like that. I recognized him, and I think I recognized her, but nobody else I recognized in the whole movie, because they're all from India, Indian actresses and actors and all. The main character, Prem, he was Salman Khan was his name. Now I can't pronounce anybody else's name on there. I can just, there's a list, but I don't know who's who. You know, I mean, I can't say it. But you know, he was the choreographed guy that's helping in the movie and trying to teach her to dance and help. They fall in love, but the thing is, he's already deemed to marry somebody else. Is in that culture, he had a marriage arranged way back when he was little. And anyway, that's pretty much the whole story. They fall in love, but he's supposed to get married to this other girl, and you know the ending. But I mean, as colorful colorful, and the dancing was pretty cool, and that's the Bollywood style, which I enjoy. But trying to mix the two and trying to integrate into America, and the critics, a few all right reviews, but most of them like just another Bollywood.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I looked at it. I do enjoy Bollywood movies. I've seen some really good ones.
There's a
but
couple.
This wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
It was a cute movie to watch. I had no problem watching the entire movie. It kept my attention, but there was no big wow moment in it. It was just pleasant to watch all the way through, and the movie was really kind of unrealistic.
Yeah.
So to me, I'd say it's an average movie, from or below average. It wasn't a great movie, but it was pleasant to watch. So
yeah.
So what would you give your film?
I'll give it a 40. I mean, it was so much dancing and teaching to dance and all that, and I'll give it 40. I mean, I don't want to watch it again. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Okay. 0 to 100, I would give it 52. Just basically average.
Yeah.
And it was, had I seen this in a theater, I would have walked out thinking, well,
it's a Bollywood movie.
It was an okay movie. I guess it was worth the money that I paid to watch it, but it's not something that I'll remember 3 years from now.
And like the Taj Mahal, it was mostly all CGI. They had some set pieces for it, but you could kind of tell that in the movie. But it's not realistic at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, I wouldn't recommend it. That's the worst movie for the week. It's not awful, and it's not good. So,
So, I got to choose the best movie of the week. The movie that I chose is The Long Riders. It was made in 1980, directed by Walter Hill, and the music was done by Ry Cooder. Brilliant music, fantastic music. He won a lot of awards for this. The music is almost a folksy style, western style music, but it really went well with this film. The film stars, you're gonna love this cast: David Carradine, Keith Carradine, Robert Carradine, James Keach, Stacy Keach, Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid, Christopher Guest, and Nicholas Guest. All brothers.
Yeah.
And the movie is about the James Younger gang. Jesse James and Cole Younger. The movie is fantastic. It's a brutal movie to watch. In fact, I've been told by a good friend of mine that was one tough movie. And it basically follows the trials and tribulations of the James Younger gang, from their first robbery to the infamous Northfield Raid, which is if you don't know, in history, the Northfield Raid was basically they had gone to Minnesota to rob a bank, the Northfield Bank, and they didn't know, but somehow the town had gotten notice that they were going to rob the bank. So when they appeared at the bank and were starting to leave the bank with the money, they looked up and there's literally snipers on all of the buildings in the town, and just a hellfire rain of bullets were coming down at them. Most of them were either killed or maimed. They did get away, and once they got away, the ones that were living, they got far enough away for the posse. They had a little bit of time before the posse would catch up to them. Jesse and Frank James realized Cole Younger and his brothers were too shot up, that they weren't going to be able to continue, and the James brothers set out on their own and left the others there to be captured or killed. Cole Younger and his brother was captured. The James brothers got away. When the James brothers got away, they decided later to start robbing banks again. They started setting up their first robbery. They hired Bob and Robert Ford to be a part of the gang, and Robert Ford, they didn't know at the time, was actually, and the Pinkertons convinced Bob Ford to shoot Jesse James and kill him. But it is a wonderful movie. It gives you really an insight into the James Younger gang, and the fact that they had all the Carradines were playing the Youngers, and the Keaches were playing James and Frank James. Randy Quaid and Dennis Quaid played Ed and Clell Miller, which
so it's like brothers in real life and brothers playing the roles. That worked. It worked well.
And some of their family members, the actors' family members, played small parts in the role. So this is really a family-made film, and you could tell that they did a lot of work and research to get everything right. And this movie had an $8 million budget and grossed $16 million at the box office. So
that's a Western, yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Westerns don't go over that well on box offices usually.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
But
it's a good one.
It was truly a good film. In fact, there's some really good lines in the film. One of my favorite was Cole Younger at one point in the movie says, "First getting married, and then getting shot. Bad habits." So it does have some good one-liners in it, but overall I would give this film an 84.
I was thinking 85 exactly. Yeah, I'd watch it again. In fact, we have watched it a couple times. Yeah, it's good. The music, the wardrobe and everything, it looks almost authentic, from what I understand. Well, from pictures and stuff. But
one of the things that I really enjoyed about this film was the action scenes appeared real. It wasn't, you don't have a guy that's got a gun that holds 6 bullets that magically is shooting 24 bullets without reloading.
Right.
You don't have...
Yeah, have somebody go, oh, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
And you don't have a guy, shooting somebody from 1.5 miles away and hitting them perfectly in the middle of the forehead, anything like that. This is a very realistic movie. And it really makes you think about how tough those times were. But overall, I love this movie. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Of course, I mean, I like true stories too. Based on true stories. I like that better than making, something made up on something dramatic or something. I like true stories a lot. That's why, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it depicts what might have actually happened.
Yeah,
cool.
It did appear very realistic. Everything from the sets that were created, if they were sets, they may have been real towns. I don't know, but the fact that a lot of the movie took place in Missouri, you could tell it was shot in Missouri by the backgrounds. It was a very good film. Very good film. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, and like Marigold was all mostly in India, of course. None of it was shot in the U.S. None of it. There's some in the U.K. and a little bit in Canada, but none in the U.S. And that's not normal for anything.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Flix with the Hicks, and hopefully our reviews will help you decide whether you want to see this movie or these movies or not. And until next time, we hope you guys have a great week and go out and see a good film.